So recently they renamed PCOS, and the new name literally includes the word metabolic in it, which is a huge clue as to why eating less and cutting calories probably hasn't worked for you if you have got PCOS. Because for most women with PCOS, it isn't just an ovarian problem, it is an insulin and metabolism problem. So, if you can try to fix a hormonal issue with a calorie deficit and wondering why the scale won't budge, unfortunately, you have been given the wrong strategy. Hi, I'm Kim. I'm a metabolic weight loss coach for women. So, let me show you what is actually going on and the 5 things that actually move the needle for someone with PCOS. But firstly, let me just quickly talk about the rename. And I want to quickly say before we get started, there are 4 types of PMOS. I am going to be talking specifically about the insulin and metabolic driven one today. If you want to know more about the other ones, I have done a whole video on this. I will link it somewhere above. But yeah, let's get into it. So, this change from PCOS to PMOS wasn't just one person's hot take, it came from 56 leading medical and patient organizations and more than 14,000 survey responses from patients and health pros around the world. It was led right here in Australia by Professor Helena Teed. I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly at Monash. So, this is my Aussie backyard. They added 2 words on purpose. That was polyendocrine, meaning lots of hormones are in play, and metabolic, meaning insulin, blood sugar, the type 2 diabetes risk that's associated with it. That old word polycystic was pointing everyone at the wrong body part since most women with this don't even have ovarian cysts. So, to put it simple, they moved the label from being an ovary problem to a metabolic problem. So, the treatment has to move too. Just eat less was never going to be a solid metabolic treatment when the issue is your hormones. Firstly, this affects so many of us. PCOS, which is now PMOS, hits about 1 in 8 women in Australia and worldwide 170 million that are diagnosed. The engine underneath it all is insulin resistance, and that shows up in roughly 75% of lean women who have got this condition and up to 95% of the women who carry some extra weight related to PMOS. And this is the thing that gets me. On the gold standard test for insulin sensitivity, that came out about 27% lower in women who have got PMOS, even if their weight was the same. So they have got more insulin resistance, less insulin sensitivity. So it is baked in. It's not just a side effect of being in a larger body, meaning, yes, your body is reacting differently to the same foods that your friend is eating just because your hormones are different. And I really want that to sink in. So, quick reminder, high insulin, you are in storage mode. Fat is locked in, where if you've got low insulin, your body can open up the fat cells and burn it. So, with this, your insulin runs high more easily. So, you sit in that storage mode more of the day. That's the same food, more storage, and it keeps your hunger hormone really loud and ignores the I'm full hormone. So you feel more hungry even after a proper meal. This is also why the term everybody's different isn't just a cop out. You could put 10 women in the same room on the same diet and they will react differently. The standard advice is eat less, move more, but for a woman with PMOS, it usually backfires. The backfire number one is it ignores the actual driver. So eating less, but eating low fat, high carb diet food, and your insulin stays high. Your fat stays locked in, even though you're eating less. You do the hard part, but you're getting nothing back because the food that you're eating isn't actually impacting your hormones in the right way. So, backfire number two is your body starts to fight you. So, under eating long term, that's long enough for your metabolism to slow in order to match that new level, and your hunger will climb, your fullness will drop, you burn less over time. And that's the real issue behind someone just saying, I'm barely eating and I'm still not losing weight. Backfire number three, and this one is really serious, women with PMOS are about 3 times more likely to have disordered eating. So, a count every calorie, eat as little as possible plan is really playing with fire there. Even the official 2023 guideline says there's no single best diet and warns against weight shaming. So, when I say calorie cutting makes it worse, I mean the whole struggle gets worse. hunger, you feel more stuck. You're often heavier over the long term. You're blaming yourself, while insulin is never touched by the diet. The fix isn't eating less, it's eating so that insulin stays low. Because once again, if insulin is low, your body will simply unlock the fat stores for energy. And this is exactly what I teach in my metabolic method. It's all about levers. So, lever one is lower your insulin spiking foods and upgrade the ones that you keep in. We don't cut carbs to zero, we manage them, we swap the high glycemic spiking carbs or lower glycemic, higher fiber versions. And the research backs it, often stating that higher fiber and lower GI or glycemic index foods have been shown to lower fasting glucose and insulin resistance, and it lowered testosterone in women. So it helps on that hormonal side. Lever number two is protein at the center of every meal. Protein will barely touch insulin, and it keeps you full for hours, and it protects your muscle, which is great for longevity. A full plate of protein means less room for the stuff that spikes you without feeling deprived. Then lever three is stop fearing fat. So this is real full fat food that's going to keep you satisfied and keeps insulin calm, because fats do not touch insulin. Low fat food can swap the fat for other things like sugars or starches, which is the opposite of what we want. The fat does not have an impact on fat. Insulin does, and fat does not impact insulin. In fact, if you pair fat with a carb that is known to spike insulin, like putting a bit of cream with some grapes, you can actually lessen the spike. So it's a good idea to keep fats in your meals. Then lever number four is to widen that gap between meals so you are not eating. When you're not eating, insulin can drop, and only then can your body reach stored fat. We do this gently. We work around your cycle, not against it, in my metabolic method. But fun fact, most of the time, if you're eating from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, you're likely actually burning fat while you sleep rather than during the day. You running on the treadmill after having a full meal that was heavy on the carbs, you are going to be dipping into the glycogen stores that you've just introduced to your body, which is fantastic if you are an athlete, because that is what you need. If you are hitting the gym regularly and you are pushing yourself and you want performance, you need carbs. But if your goal is weight loss, then that's going to be happening while you sleep. Lever number five is build some muscle and get your steps in. Muscle is a sponge for your blood sugar. More muscle and your body is going to handle carbs better without storing them as fat for, future energy consumption, which is a long game here, really. And walking is going to lower that insulin without spiking any stress hormones that can impact insulin in a negative way. So here's the proof. A review of trials found lowering high glycemic carbs helped women lose body weight, improve their insulin resistance, and improve their hormones. In one trial, women dropped around 7% of their body weight in 4 months with better blood sugar markers too, just from changing what they ate. And this is incredibly important for any woman with PMOS because, like I keep saying, insulin is at the root of it. So, therefore, controlling your insulin is going to help control your hormones that are causing that PMOS and all of the symptoms that go along with it. Which, by the way, the weight gain, that's a symptom, it's not the cause. And telling somebody with PMOS that, oh, you just need to lose weight and you'll get better, that's why it's not helping you, because they're trying to give you the advice to improve a symptom, not improve the cause. Just losing weight will not necessarily help you if your hormones are still out of balance, and it's going to be a lot harder for you to lose weight because you're just trying to fix the symptom. But if you go to the root cause of it, which in most women with PMOS, not all, there are 4 different types of PMOS. I did another video on this. If you have a look, I'll try and link it. But there are 4 types of PMOS, but the most common one is the insulin related one. So here's the thing, the plan has to fit the person, your carb level, your thyroid, your cycle, whether you're in perimenopause as well, all of it changes the details. So I'm not really going to give you an exact plan through a YouTube video. I don't know your history or your body. And if someone online promises you the one perfect PMOS meal plan for everyone, then just be very careful with that. What I kind of give is the map, and what I do with my clients is build the actual route for their body and personalize it to them. So obviously that's the difference between free content and paid coaching, and that's why the results look so different. Okay, so if you take nothing else from this, I just want you to remember you're not broken, you're not lazy either. You've been trying to win a hormone fight with willpower and bad advice, and that was not a fair fight whatsoever. But the second you stop pushing to eat less and you actually bring that insulin down, it's going to change. And the weight that wouldn't budge will start to move, and the cravings will also start to settle down. And you stop thinking about food every 5 minutes. So, trust me, this is exactly how I lost 15 kilos and kept it off long term. Now I eat plenty of the right carbs because my body knows what to do with them. I just had to go through a period of time where my only focus was rebalancing the hormones that control fat loss, and then that helped my body release the body fat. And speaking of hormones, there are 9 hormones that control fat loss. And I made a free fat loss masterclass that deep dives into each one and how to balance them all properly. The link is below, so go watch that. It's free. I really think that it'll make all of this click. And if any part of this video made you go, this sounds great, but I just don't have the time to do it all, then you're going to love this next video I did about why 5 hours is all you need over the span of the week to finally get your dream body. And it'll be up on the screen. I'll see you there.